Fast Lawyer VR Reviews. For sexy VR reviews, hit the subscribe button. Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to do a Let's Play and initial impressions review for NFL Pro Era VR, a game that's an Oculus Quest 2 exclusive. It's the first officially licensed NFL football game for VR, and I was very excited. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger and bought this. It is $30, and I do have mixed feelings about this game. First thing that you should know is that I am a big Dallas Cowboys fan, or at least I used to be. So I'm pretty familiar with the game of football. I know several of the Dallas Cowboys players, Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott. And this game has several good things about it, but it also has some bad things about it. The good thing is the visuals here, especially on the Meta Quest 2. The visuals here are really good. Now, the visuals aren't perfect. There are certain spots where it is a little bit too blurry, especially when you're looking at the sideline view and you see the players in distance. They do seem a little bit blurry, but it's very immersive. Being in the stadium and being in the huddle, breaking from the huddle. You can walk around once you break from the huddle, so you can walk towards your receiver. You can do a lot of role playing, which I really like about this game, that you're not just stuck on one spot. Now, the problem with this game, though, is it's supposed to be a quarterback sim, but it really does not play like the best quarterback sims that we have in VR. I would say 2MD is probably the gold standard as far as quarterback sim, and this game is just not nearly as good as 2MD when it comes to the core gameplay. So the throwing mechanic here is off, and there's basically two different modes you can try. You can try the aim assist, or you can try with the aim assist off. I tried it with the aim assist off in this game, and the reason for that is because the aim assist is really bad. Like, if you have the aim assist on, this game becomes super easy. It's almost impossible to misfire with the aim assist on. So there is no challenge whatsoever to the gameplay. There's no fun to be had. There are different difficulties. There's rookie, there's pro, and there's all pro. So in this gameplay footage that you're seeing, I did choose all pro difficulty, the highest difficulty, and I do have aim assist off as well. So that leads to several errant throws, which might be realistic, but the thing that really breaks that is that it's hard to focus in on the receiver that you want to throw the ball to. So this basically has a gaze mechanic when you want to throw to your receiver. So you know the route, obviously, because you see the play call beforehand, and you know the route that your receiver is running. So you want to look in that direction, focus on the receiver, and throw it to him. The problem with that is that the receiver that you want to throw it to doesn't always get highlighted. It can be quite the difficulty to get the receiver that you want highlighted. And the other problem is that it seems like you're doing something that's bad for a quarterback sim, which is that you are focusing in on the one receiver. You're not supposed to look down the receiver. So what I mean by that is, once the ball is hiked, once the play starts, you're basically staring down the receiver in order to be able to throw it accurately to that receiver. Because otherwise, it's really hard to get that receiver highlighted if you're just not trying from the very start to look down the receiver. Now, that's a bad quarterback practice. You're not supposed to be staring down receivers because it makes it easier for the defense to react and to either tip the ball or intercept the ball if you're staring down receivers. But this game almost requires you to do that. I personally do not like staring down receivers. I like looking around in the field, but I tried to do that in this game, but I've just found that it's just too difficult to get your receiver highlighted, and you do have to throw in rhythm. So if you're not zoned in on your receiver that you're targeting from the very start, it is difficult to throw in rhythm, throw it accurately if you have aim assist off. Now with aim assist on, it's no difficulty whatsoever. Any receiver that you have highlighted, as long as you throw the ball, it's going to get to them. With aim assist off, that's really not the case. Not only do you have to throw it accurately, but also in rhythm. And you have to kind of throw it where they're headed. Receivers aren't always responsive to where you're throwing to. Sometimes you throw the ball and it's right at them and they just don't react to it at all whatsoever. Again, the highlighting here of the receiver through the gauge mechanic is something that's just not very good. It's not well done. So it leads to a lot of frustration, especially if you want to challenge, because like I said, if you turn aim assist off, it's very easy. It's too easy. But if you want a bit of a challenge and you turn the aim assist off, then it's a little frustrating then, because it's difficult to throw the ball accurately, just because, like I said, it's hard to get the receiver that you want to throw the ball to highlighted, and because of that, it's hard to throw it in rhythm, and because of that, it's difficult to throw it accurately. So it does lead to a lot of errant throws. Not only that, but you see here that I'm at the goal line and passing the ball. Now, this is something that Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys head coach, probably does a lot. But there is a reason why I'm doing this. It's not because I don't want to run the ball. I would love to be able to run the ball. But usually when I run the ball, more times than not, it'll lead to a turnover. And that's because it's very difficult to run towards your running back and hand them off the football just because you're moving so slow. So you move as slow as molasses. And upcoming here, I believe, is a play where I try to hand off to the running back, and it turns up being a turnover. And again, I tried to get him the ball. I tried running there real quick, but I just didn't get there. And it was a close call, so I went ahead and tried, and it just ended up being a fumble, a missed handoff, and a turnover. Not good. Now, on the other hand, the game visuals are really good, especially for the Quest. For the Meta Quest 2, this is excellent. There's a lot of immersion here. There's a lot of sense of presence. There is an Oculus Rift football game out there. I forget the name of it, but it kind of had the same vibe, but that was more like a mini game, and this is more like a full football game. Obviously, you don't play defense. What happens here is that you simulate through the other team playing defense. Now, you don't have to do that. You can just watch from the sidelines and see your defense or see the other team's offense at work. But normally, you want to just simulate that so you can get back on offense. The problem is that no matter what, you're going to have to see the special teams play, which does slow down the pace of the gameplay unnecessarily, I believe. It also seems that when you simulate, it seems like the other team scores more often. Like when I didn't simulate the other team, it seemed they scored a lot less. I'm not sure if that's true, but it seems to be the case. The other problem here is the limited play calling. So the way it works is that you basically have a play call to you. So you don't have a choice. You have to pick that play. About your only choice here is to call a timeout or to hurry up. And I did have a bug where sometimes nothing showed up except for the timeout, so I was forced to call a timeout. Now, once the play is called, you can audible, so you can choose from multiple plays. And I did like that. And you can set the minutes for each quarter, the time in between plays, and also how much time is cut down from the simulation part of going in between plays. There's another problem with this game. As you see, I'm throwing a lot via shotgun. Now, obviously, I don't really have a choice in that. The game decides whether you're in shotgun or not. But I found that I had much more success in the shotgun formation just because if you're under center, you move so slow that a lot of times it just ends up in a sack versus being able to at least have a few seconds to throw the ball when you're in the shotgun formation. And it just seems a little unfair. Like, I understand that if you're behind center, it is more difficult also in the NFL to throw the ball, but it seems here like you just move too slow. And it makes it so cumbersome that sometimes you just get behind center and you're just going back as fast as possible, and before you can even throw the ball, you get sacked. So you don't even have time to get set. Now, obviously, that happens sometimes in the real NFL, but it seems to happen a little too often here. Again, I do like the sense of presence here. I do like the immersion, but I think there's some core gameplay problems here that need to be polished up before I could recommend this game. Not only that, but I did experience several bugs. One bug that I faced that was pretty major is that the ball disappeared. It basically turned invisible and I couldn't see it, so I really couldn't throw it. And basically I lost the game because that's just how the rest of the game went. The ball was invisible and I just couldn't throw it. And I could barely get it from the snap. So it ended up being very difficult to play after that point. So it is a major bug. And like I said, sometimes when you have a play come up, the only option that you have is selecting timeout. You can't select the play, you can't go to the huddle, you can't go hurry up. The only option they give you is timeout. I think that's a bug as well. So there are quite a few bugs in this game, and the core gameplay here is just not as good as 2MD. 2MD has better play calling. You can select from several plays from the start. You can make your own plays. And just the throwing physics is a lot better. Here, the advantage is that you can move around, not in the huddle. In the huddle, you only have that one spot. But once you break from the huddle, you can move anywhere. You can move all the way to your receiver. You can do some role playing, and that is a lot of fun. But again, once that your team is on defense, there's not a whole lot for you to do other than to just watch from the sidelines and just simulate the game. So I do have mixed feelings about this game. I did like the visuals, I did like the immersion, but the most important thing, the core gameplay, that's what's lacking, especially with the bugs. I just can't in good conscience recommend this game at this point. And that is with a proviso, obviously, with future updates. I might change my opinion on this game. I really see a lot of potential in this game. If this game was early access, I would be all for it, but it's not. It's a full title, full release, and it's just not in a state that's very good right now. But I do think with some future updates, it could be the premier football simulation, quarterback simulation game in VR. Now, there is multiplayer, but the multiplayer is basically just hanging out with other players and playing catch if you want. You can't really play against them or anything like that. There's also like training camp drills and stuff like that, but nothing really in depth. You do have a full NFL schedule to play, and you can also play exhibition games where you can choose your opponent. So, and this is probably one of my most fun parts here, where I got to run the ball. Now, I did try to hand it off to Zeke Elliott, but I figured that I just couldn't get there in time. Again, it's really difficult to hand off the ball to your running back, so I decided to just run it in myself. And that was fun, but then I simulated the game, and you're going to see the ending here. It wasn't very good for the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I used to be a big Dallas Cowboys fan, it's not anymore, so, it really didn't break my heart that they lost. So, if I have to rate this game, I would give it a 4.5 out of 10. At the $30 price tag, I just can't recommend this game, and it's got too many issues. However, I will say that I see a lot of potential, and with some future updates, I could definitely change my mind and recommend this game. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you enjoyed my video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, have a wonderful